So welcome, and please find any position that works well for you. If you would like to be sitting for a few minutes, I'm just going to read a short poem. So you could be on your back if you wanted to as well, but really just here at the beginning, coming into both the stillness and sacredness of your practice. Arriving to this space and time. So this week we're talking about spaciousness, and it could be a pretty big and vague term. But my question to you is what does that word mean to you? What does it mean to have space or spaciousness in your body, in your life, in your day-to-day activities? Does it mean less busy, or does it mean that you practice the pause? What does it mean for you to have more space? So we practice, pretty much the same postures, the same shapes, the same actions, but we can bring our attention to different things or different ideas or different concepts when we practice. So the invitation today is to really let your awareness rest on building space or having space in your body and maybe in your thinking. We'll do some specific actions which help us create space. So I'm just going to read this verse by Kabir. Inside this clay jug are canyons and pine forests, and the maker of canyons and pine forests. All 7 oceans are inside, and hundreds of millions of stars. The music that comes from the strings that no one touches, the source of all water. The God whom I love is inside. Okay, so if you're not already on your back, you could go there now to your mat. And have your block and strap handy, but just do some movement, a couple of minutes of just organic movement, whatever you need to sort of wake up to your body. It might be that you take both legs long and stretch through the arms. If you want to play with a lot of this concept of space, you might take the legs out wide and the arms out wide, making more of an X shape with your body. And definitely, I take up more space this way. Whether I have more space in my body and my thinking, that's debatable, right? We'll talk a little bit today as we practice about opposite and equal reactions. So when we press our feet into the floor or our hands into the floor, we have a rebounding effect of creating more space through the body. So you might even here bring your feet into Tadasana, legs into Tadasana, even though we're on our backs, and press the feet away, toes back towards shins. Feel how that engages your legs. Visualize the arches, the inner arches lifting here. So you feel this all the way up through the inner leg. We'll do mostly going to have a standing practice today, standing poses. So you'll feel this, I think, when we're standing quite intensely. And then go ahead and bend your knees and take the soles of your feet to the floor and just move your knees softly back and forth. Just begin to invite a little twisting, spiraling in the body. And you might also add, as you drop the knees to one side, the opposite arm. So now a little opening through your side waist, side body. Especially those of us who just woke up, the intercostals, the muscles between the ribs, are pretty sticky when we wake up in the morning. So opening the side body is quite helpful to get our day going. And maybe even, for Kaisa, it's like at the end of the day, if you've been sitting a lot or in flexion a lot, that area closes up again. So certainly can be valuable at any time. Okay. And then we'll come back to center here. And now you'll take your block. I'm going to put my block between my knees, right at the thighs here, right at the top of the thighs and the knees. And I'm going to use the middle setting. So I'm not going to use the narrowest setting. I'm not going to use the widest setting. I'm going to use that middle setting. And then I'm going to take my strap and go around the block. So I capture the block and my knees, and then I tighten the strap down. So I've got a little block sandwich. I turn and face you here, block sandwich. Great. And I want the strap pretty tight, and then I'm just going to rest my soles of my feet back to the floor and relax. And here we're just going to set the sacroiliac joint and pelvis for preparation for standing postures. So you'll just squeeze the block lightly and then press out against the strap lightly. And just go back and forth, squeeze the block lightly, press out against the strap lightly. And back and forth a few times. This is a great practice for anyone who, any sacroiliac concerns you have. If you get sciatica on a regular basis, it's usually the SI joint, sacroiliac joint is out of whack a bit. So you're not doing a lot of work here, just squeezing in, pressing out, squeezing in, pressing out. And then you'll draw your knees in towards your chest, keep the block set up there, but take your hands to the top of your shins and just press your knees into your hands and pull back against your knees with your hands. So there's a opposite and equal reaction, right? You're doing the same thing. Then you bring your hands to the top of your thighs, press your thighs into your hands and push back with your hands. So you'll go back and forth between those two movements. And again, it's a 20, 30% effort. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Then bring one hand to the top of your thigh and the other to the opposite shin. And now you go at a diagonal. So you're pressing or pulling with the hands and pressing or pushing with the leg. And then you just go back and forth. So you're working at a diagonal. Great. And then you can, while you've got your knees up near your chest, you can just slip the belt off over to the side. Take the block over to the side, and you can rest your feet back to the floor. Keep one knee bent, sole of the foot on the floor, and take the other leg up towards the ceiling. Now feel the evenness in your pelvis, and just let your, whatever leg is long, just let that sort of start to rock out to the same side, and let your knee go in the opposite direction until you can't maintain the angle anymore. So until, if your hip, if one side of your pelvis lifts up, you've gone too far. And then bring everything to midline and cross the long leg in front of the bent leg, like you're going to sit cross-legged. And then open up again. Just slow movement here. And then swing your long leg, your extended leg in front of the bent leg, like you're going to sit cross-legged. One more time. Great. There you go. Easy. And then switch. Take the opposite sole foot to the floor. Reach the opposite leg long. And then let the extended leg and the bent leg move apart from one another. See if you can keep the sole of your foot in the bent leg on the floor. That's probably about as wide as most of us. That will feel good in our pelvis, and the pelvis won't lift. And then cross the extended leg in front of the bent leg. Come across midline with both legs. Open up. Come back together. Crossing midline with both legs. One more time. Great. And then you can bend your knees, bring the soles of your feet to your chest and squeeze here. Give yourself a little bit of rock side to side. And we'll just visit one more thing that we'll do when we're standing. So take your one leg up towards the ceiling as if you're in a standing posture, and take the other leg into happy baby. So outside of your hand to the outside of the foot, just bring that knee down towards your armpit or the side of your body. Can you press the extended leg? Really press the sole of that foot towards the ceiling as if you're standing on the ceiling. Feel the whole engagement in that leg. If you don't feel the engagement in the leg, try drawing the toes back towards the shins and think about lifting your inner arch. Great, then switch it up. Take opposite leg towards the ceiling. Press as if you're standing on the ceiling. Toes back towards shins, and bring the other leg into happy baby. Does your pelvis feel even? If you're rocked over to one side, maybe back off, or really root the standing leg down into the floor so your pelvis stays level. Play with that. Great. And then you can take your soles of your feet to the floor, either turn to one side or cross ankles, taking the back of your legs, rocking up to your seat. Let's just take a minute here in our seat to feel length through the spine. So just a little bit of movement on your sit bones. Find a rooting through your sit bones as if you had, that was your legs, right? That was the extent of your legs right there. And then can you draw the back of your head up, the back of your skull up, reaching the back of your skull towards the connection between the roof, the ceiling of your room and the wall where they meet, and feel length through your spine. And just rest your gaze for a minute. Great. Beautiful. Okay, let's come to hands and knees. And we'll just take some cat-cows here. But going slowly enough or at a speed that's skillful for you to feel the articulation through your spine. So one of the things I'll sort of remind us of today is that whatever's touching the floor, and we did some of this last week with connection and grounding, whatever's touching the floor is that's where we're going to put some fierceness, and we're going to really work against the floor almost, pressing our feet or our hands into the floor. And the idea is that in doing that, we have this rebounding effect where it creates more expansion through the rest of the body. So even in this cat-cow, really firmly pressing the hands in. So we don't just passively have our hands on the floor and our knees on the floor, but we firmly have our hands pressing against the floor here. Even when we're doing the cow shape, we're not just collapsing and passively into the floor. Great. Good. And then from after the next round, and you're in the cow position, turn your toes under and press your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Great. And have your feet a little bit wide here in this first downward dog. Now, as you press your feet and your hands into the floor firmly, what does it feel like? Can you sense any movement? So hands pressing firmly, lengthening through the spine, feet pressing firmly, length through the back of the legs. Boop, and the apex is our sitting bones. So the apex is the sitting bones, which are reaching up towards the ceiling. Great. From here, walk your hands back towards your feet. Now, if you know you need your block for a forward fold, just grab that and set that in place for yourself. But in this forward fold, look down at your feet, and you really want to set your feet up so that your middle toe, or the second toe and the third toe, kind of maybe that space in between those toes, lines up with the center of your ankle. So can you set your feet in that position while you're looking at your feet? And then bring your hands to your hips and inhale up to standing. I just need to rework my computer there. Great. So now you're standing at the back of your mat. Feet are wide, and you've got that foot position lined up. Great. Press into your feet, lift the arches, and feel a line of energy move up through the inner leg. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead. And here you're going to take the thumbs and hook the thumbs together. Inhale to reach, and exhale, side bend in one direction. Come back through center, side bend in the opposite direction. Inhale, come back to center, and exhale, fold. The unzipping of the down jacket. Take a look at the feet. Make sure nothing's changed there. And then walk your hands back to downward facing dog. Come up onto your toes, lifting your heels high. What does it feel like to have the legs a little bit more engaged? At least that's what happens with my legs when I come up onto my toes. Does that give you any more space? Great. And from this position, bending through the right knee, set your right foot forward between your hands in a lunge. Now, draw your feet towards one another and see if that gives you a little lift in the pelvic floor. And then bring your left hand towards your right foot and inhale, spin open and twist towards the bent leg side. Keep the back leg lifted. Keep the feet drawing towards one another. As much bend in the front knee as feels good for you. And then exhale, your hands down around the front foot. Step forward in a forward fold. Inhale to halfway, reaching through the crown of your head. And as you exhale and fold, step the right foot back. You're up on your toes. Draw the feet towards one another. See if that helps create some lift in your pelvis. And then right hand in towards the left foot as you inhale and spin open into a twist. Can you keep that lift in your pelvis even as you lengthen through the crown? So it's like this three-dimensional space we're trying to find. Exhale your hand down around your front foot and then step back to downward facing dog. Walk your hands back to your feet. Look at your feet here again. Line up the second and third toe, and that maybe that space between them, right in the center of your ankle. And then hands on hip, press up to standing. Interlace the thumbs, reach the hands up, and side bend in one direction. Keep the legs strong, keep lifting the inner arches. Come back to center and side bend in the opposite direction. Inhale to reach the hands away and exhale, fold. Walk your hands forward to the front of your mat into downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg out behind you. Exhale, bend that knee, rock forward, bring your right foot between your hands in that same lunge position. Now turn the back foot out slightly and press up, warrior two, just hands to your hips right now. Feel the whole back foot firmly planted on the floor and press into the front foot. Draw your feet towards one another and see if you get a lift in your pelvis. Inhale the arms up. Reaching up, reaching the fingertips up. Inhale. And then on your exhale, you're going to open up your stance, turn the back foot, and come into warrior two. Warrior two legs. Good. Draw the feet together. See if you can feel the lift in the pelvis. Good. On the inhale, we'll bring the hands together above our head. Just turn to face in prayer and straighten the front leg. And on the exhale, you'll draw hands down through prayer and open up the front leg and extend the arms. Inhale, press, lift. Exhale, draw through center with prayer hands and open and bend the front leg. Let's do that maybe 6 to 8 times. Your flow, your breath, your speed. And maybe a good space image here, spaciousness image, as you move through this vinyasa. Last time you land in downward dog or warrior two, stay there. Now, can you keep the humerus, both upper arm bones, really connected, but reach through the fingertips? Stay in the downward, the warrior two legs, but fold now and bring the hands to the floor, reaching forward. So your upper body's in a downward dog position. Now, see if you've lost some contact with the feet. Really press the feet into the floor. Draw them isometrically towards one another. But keep the upper body in downward dog. From here, you're going to start to walk your hands back towards you as you turn the front foot and line both feet up parallel with one another. Pressing the soles of both feet into the floor. Stack your hips over your heels, in line with your heels. So not behind the heels, not in front of the heels. Draw the feet together, like you're going to try to pull the mat together. See if you feel a lifting in your pelvic floor and your pelvis. And then hands to hips, come on up. Great. Heel toe the feet together. And come back to the front of your mat. Inhale, sweep your arms up. And exhale, fold through center. Take a look at your feet. Look at the line of toes, second and third toe to the ankle. Great. Step your feet or jump your feet back, downward facing dog. Inhale, the left leg comes up. Exhale, bend through that knee, bring that foot forward in the lunge. Turn the back foot, set it there, and come on up, warrior one, legs other side. Press through the back heel. Draw the feet isometrically together. See if you feel a lift through your body. Good. Inhale, reach the arms up. On your exhale, your next exhale, you'll open your stance, turn your back foot, and come into warrior two. And then that same vinyasa. So we'll inhale, bring the front leg straight, arms up above our head. And on the exhale, draw the hands through prayer and open. This feels very spacious to me, very, very open, spacious kind of shape, flow. Great. And then whenever you land in warrior two again, stay there. Can you isometrically draw feet towards one another and feel a lift in your pelvic floor? We'll bring the hands above our head and fold now. You can fold your hands just right underneath and then walk your hands forward in a sort of diagonal. So the upper body comes into more of a downward dog shape while the legs, feet remain in warrior two. You could even peek at your arches here and see if you've got that lift in the arch. So hands are active, right? You're not just flopped down on the floor. Hands are actively pressing away. Feet are pressing. Good. Next inhale, start to straighten the bent leg, turning that foot and walking the hands to center and stacking yourself so that your hips are in line with your heels, not forward or backward. Find a nice even even pressing into the feet. And then hands to hips, come on up. Heel toe your feet together, come back to the top of your mat. Inhale, reach the arms up. And now stay here just in this Hasta Uttasana with the feet really pressing into the floor. Head of the humerus, they're solid, right? And just a little bit of a back bend, but not overly back bending. So draw the low ribs in. You don't have to look up at your hands, just feel for the space created by pressing your feet into the floor. Great. And then fold through center. Come down to your hands and step back in downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg out behind you. And as you exhale, bring that foot forward. Coming into the lunge, turn the back foot, sweep your arms open, warrior two again. Interlace your thumbs now above your head, pressing into the feet. Really engage the feet, engage the legs, and reach the arms up. Thumbs interlaced. Take your whole body back into a crescent shape towards the back leg, towards the straight leg. Great. And then sweep through center, coming forward. Make a crescent shape towards the bent leg. Great. Hold it. Good strength in the legs here. And then you will just release the front elbow, front forearm to the front knee and come into Parvottanasana, side angle. Now draw the feet towards one another. Lift the arches and see if that allows you to lift the pelvis, the pelvic floor, and create this space, this opposite reaction. Boom. Expansion through the upper body, light through the upper body. Great. Here we go. Now we're just going to straighten the front leg and come right into triangle with the front hand on the front shin. Stacking your hands in any position. Press the front shin into the front hand and hand back into shin. Next inhale, come through warrior two. Turn the back toes. Inhale the hands up. You'll be in a lunge. And drop your hands down around your front foot. Step back, downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg. Exhale, bend the left knee, sweep through, come between your hands, turn your back foot, open up warrior two on the other side. Take time to set up, meaning really find pressure through both feet. Back heel turned out slightly. And then we'll interlace opposite. Can you take the opposite, the funny setup with your hands? And we'll take a crescent shape towards the back leg. Side bending, opening through side ribs. Notice if you lose your connection through the feet. Come back to center and reach in the opposite direction. Stay with it. Stay with it. You could try bending deeper through that front leg, and then forearm comes right to the knee, the leg, right? Keep that shoulder out of the ear. Most of you probably had your arm still extended there, so just come over with the top arm. Extended side angle on this side. Take a few rounds of breath. So you really want to feel solid through the feet, through the legs, but have this sense of liftedness. So when I engage the back leg especially, I find That gives me a little bit more lift in my pelvis. Now we'll simply straighten the front leg. You can take your top hand to your hip and just straighten the front leg as you drop that hand down to your shin. Now you're in triangle. Trikonasana. Press the hand into the shin and the shin back into the hand, and see if that helps you fire up that front leg. Stack arms. Neck is long. Maybe you have some tension in your jaw and face right now, as we were talking about. Can you really release that tension? And then we'll come back to the warrior two, right? And here it gets a little tricky with balance, but see if you can inhale, turn the back foot, bring the hands up so you're in this high crescent lunge. And then exhale, hands down around the front foot. Step into forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Take a look at your feet. So when we're moving from, transitioning from posture to posture, shape to shape, how do you naturally set your feet down? You might pick up your pants and look, oh, is the space between my second and third toe, second toe lining up with my ankles, notwithstanding that you might have curly sideways toes. But if you think about the right at the base of the toe, lining up with the center of your ankle. Good. Press into your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, let your hands come through center and rest at your sides, palms away, Tadasana. Okay. All right, so now we're going to play a little with some standing balances. So bring your weight into, let's bring our weight into our right foot. And you're going to bring your left knee up and hold it. Now you might fall out here, that's okay. Really bring your awareness to the standing leg. Really bring your awareness to the standing leg. If you need wall space or want wall space, take it. Now bring your left hand to the outside of your left foot and take half a happy baby. Now set the left foot into your right thigh, Vrksasana. And release. And shake it out a little bit. We'll try the other side. So when we go into a standing balance, really spread the feet, spread the toes, get a really nice firm base, and then we'll take the opposite knee up. Might be just here in front of you. You could try having it a little higher. Doesn't necessarily matter here. And just finding our balance. Then we take half a happy baby. Fall out, start over. Then place that foot in Vrksasana. Lift. So as you press your foot firmer into the floor, do you feel the lift? That's the expansion. And if you fall out, no big deal. And release. And if you're not at the top of your mat, come to the top of your mat. Inhale, reach up, come up onto your toes. Exhale, fold down or bend down and come into an Utkatasana with your hands at prayer and your heels lifted. Now, even though this is a pull to midline kind of pose, can you create a little bit more space through your spine? Reach the crown of your head up, really press into your toes. And then on your next exhale, release, fold over, straighten the legs as much as possible, come into a forward fold. Hands to the floor, step back, downward facing dog. Inhale to high dandasana. Press the hands, press through the feet, and dome the back up slightly towards the ceiling. From here, just turn the tops, the toes over and come onto the tops of your feet and pull your chest forward in upward facing dog. You can have the knees to the floor if you need to. And then turn the toes back over and press back to downward facing dog. Inhale to walk your feet up to your hands. And we'll take standing splits here. So whatever foot is into the floor, just inhale the other leg out behind you. Doesn't matter how high that leg reaches out behind you. In my lifetime, don't think I'll ever get it all the way up. And if you want a little bit more balance practice, you can take both hands to your standing leg ankle. Then release the top leg over to the outside of the opposite leg. You could have the feet beside one another, or you could just have that leg off to the side and just get a stretch through the standing leg outer hip. Come back to center. Press into your feet. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Reaching up, but keeping length through your back. So drawing tailbone down, low ribs stay in, so it's not too much of a back bend here. And then exhale, fold through center, hands to the mat, step back, downward facing dog. Now we've been working with hands, so just want to say here in your downward dog, can you feel pressure in the knuckles, the fingertips, and can you lift at the wrists slightly? And really engage, really press into the hands. Feel length through, all the way through the outer arm, outer side, outer edges of the body. Come up onto your toes and engage the legs and feel the lengthening through your legs up to the apex, the sitting bones. Next inhale, come forward, high dandasana. Good, you can either drop to your knees here or turn the toes under, reaching the chest forward in upward facing dog. Press into the hands, press into the hands. Back to the downward facing dog. Inhale, walk your feet forward to your hands. And we'll take the other side, standing splits. If you want to play with balance, you can take your hands and just grab your ankle of the standing leg. Feet are working hard here. And then hands back to the mat as you bring the lifted leg, pinky toes together, so the legs are crossed, or maybe out to the side, getting a stretch in the whatever was the standing leg. That outer hip is going to get a big stretch when you bring that extended leg out to the side. Coming back to center, both feet underneath you. As you place your feet down, look for that cue of the base between second and third toe lining up with the center of your ankle. Pressing into your feet, drop your hips back, bring your arms forward, Utkatasana. Now press into the feet and see if you can lift through your spine and reach the arms alongside your ears. Lengthening through the spine, getting a little bit more space, even though this is a pretty contracted sort of shape. And your next inhale, reach all the way up through your hands, stand up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Close your eyes here. Ooh, and release your hands to your sides. Palms forward, Tadasana. With the eyes closed, find even connection through your feet. Even connection through your feet. Length through your spine. Great. With your hands on your hips now, heel toe your feet apart without looking, and then see if you can set them up. See if you can, in your mind's eye, line up that space between second and third toe, even with your ankles, middle of the ankle. And then inhale, sweep arms up. Exhale, hands come to heart center, and you drop all the way into a squat. Now here, to be honest with that alignment, you might have to turn your feet out slightly. Okay, great. Malasana. Press your elbows into your knees, knees back into elbows. Length through your back. Great, and then you'll release your hips to the floor, booty to the floor. Take the back of your legs with your hands. And slowly, 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 slowly unfurl back to the floor. Take that big X with your body. Legs form a Y, arms form a Y. Press the heels away one at a time. And then you can add arms. So same side presses, heel and reaches and arm reaches. Same side first. And then going at a diagonal. Great. And then let's bring the knees into the chest. And let's make some circles with our knees here. Both directions. Okay. Soles of the feet back to the floor. A few cascading bridges here. So set yourself up so that you can just sort of feather touch your heels with your fingers. Legs parallel. Now you can't see your feet, but can you imagine that same space between second and third toe is lined up with the center of your ankle? And then as you press into your feet and lift your hips, arms come behind. And then option here, you can just roll back down. Right, and you can repeat that, or you could leave the arms behind as you roll back down, sort of like you're unfurling your yoga mat, right? Creating the space to practice. And then you could sweep the arms back down to your sides. So you choose. You choose. And if at some point you want to hold into a strong bridge, you can. How can you make a posture like this, a shape like this, a movement like this? How can you create some more space? And where would you like that space? So in the bridge pose, we're stretching the front of the legs. We're lengthening through our spine. We want to draw the chin away from the chest slightly to keep the collarbones open. So we're creating space there. You might even play with how do I create more space in my head, in my face. While if you're in a strong bridge, can you lift all 10 toes? Feel the engagement under big toe mound, pinky toe mound, and heel, and then soften your toes back to the floor. And wherever you are, as you come out, just coming back to a position of comfort. So knees bent, soles of the feet on the floor. Just take your hands to the top of your thighs and gently press the top of your thigh away, creating a little space between the top of your thigh and your hip pointer. A little space there. Now, whatever you'd like to finish with, if you want to finish with a twist, any twist, just going side to side, giving both sides the same amount of time. You could finish with a happy baby. You could be ready to go to Shavasana right now. And just an invitation to play with when you come into Shavasana. You know, the question I asked at the beginning was, what does it feel like to have more spaciousness in your life? Or what might it just feel like, that word? So it might be taking up space, you know. You might be someone who is very conscious of not taking up space in the world. So maybe you need to take up more space. It might be that you come into a little tighter, more to midline kind of Shavasana, but how do you maintain space when you do that? Is the space in the breathing? Is it in the open mind? Let it just really unfold for you in this final posture. We'll be here for a couple of minutes. Inside this clay jug are canyons and pine forests, and the maker of canyons and pine forests. All 7 oceans are inside, and hundreds of millions of stars. The music that comes from the strings that no one touches, the source of all water. The God whom I love is inside. As you continue to drop in here, letting your breath settle, your body settle in the spaciousness of this shape. Stay if you like. I'll just close us out, and if you want to come up to a seat at the end, you can. But with open hands, can you come to your heart center? Can you feel the space of gratitude, the space of love, the spaciousness of joy? May the merit of what we do on the mat, off the mat, the merit of our practice, the practices, encourage all beings to unveil the hidden brilliance that lies within. Namaste.